Gwendoline, thank you so much for taking some time today to talk to me. Always fun to talk Star Wars, and especially now with you.
It's my pleasure, Emmanuel.
You've been on Star Wars for a while now, and voicing Nala Se, a very important piece of the Clone Wars. You want to talk a little bit about her?
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars Clone Wars, I've been doing for over a decade and since the late 1800s, joking. But um, but yeah, when I first you know, Dave and I talked about the character, you know, um, you know, we were just trying to figure out, like I just had a sense about her, that she had a very straight spine. It was very physical for me. And
Mhm.
she had she had very, very small lips. And I just remember we tried to do ADR and we were like, we can't even see her lips right now. And so, so I think, but that kind of, at first I try with a British accent like this, more like this. And then we sort of relaxed her into a more formalized where we found her like this. So it's just been such a joy. And from there, Dave and I just sort of formed a relationship and created other characters. But I think Nala Se, creating these clones has been such a huge part of it, and I think she played. She was quite cold, I think,
Mhm.
and dominant and powerful, but still very understated in the Clone Wars mostly. And then to come around, after all these years with the Bad Batch, and have an opportunity to play her, and show a touch more vulnerability, as it were, and for her to be sort of protective over something she's created, and that's really special to her, was a real joy to play. I think I think it wasn't easy, because you're playing within the confines of being a Kaminoan, and we didn't want to
Mhm.
overplay or underplay, so we did, a variety of takes. I think working with Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao and with Dave Finoli, it's like we sort of had to play around to find the right vibe for her, so that she would still come across with slight vulnerability, but still maintain a power and still maintain the Kaminoan way of how she should be. So so yeah, it's really been a pleasure to show that side of her. I think especially as a strong woman. I mean, what I love about obviously playing an alien is that sometimes you're colorless,
Mhm.
um, but she's still female, and it is really nice that it's not a weakness to be proud of something you've created.
Right.
And I'm really proud that she's playing really someone really bright, smart, and could go either way. And I think that neutrality is can be very fascinating for the audience. So.
I think that's what makes Star Wars Bad Batch so special, is that it kicks off right at that moment when that order is given, and it completely rocks the galaxy, and in more ways than just the clone troopers turning on the Jedi. It has an effect on planets. It has an effect on, well, the Kaminoans, who supply the clones, and now they're trying to go into a different direction. So for them, it's more of a business, right? Um, and now decisions need to be made between Lama Su and some of the directives he gives, and now let's say with what she created and now what she's asked to be done. And I think that's what I like about the show so much, is everybody has individual choices on what they want to do next, nothing and which way you want to go. um, can you talk a little bit about what makes Bad Batch so special, maybe a little bit more than what I've just rambled about a little bit?
No, no, not rambling at all. And I'm glad you brought up Lama Su. I've known Bob Bergen a long time, and Dee Baker, and it was a pleasure to meet Michelle. Um, I think it was almost a little bit. I've worked with them on different things, but there's just something special about the Star Wars kind of troop,
Mhm.
as it were, playing in the same sandbox and playing with such amazing material. I think it was sort of playing with my friends, but also everybody had something different to play, and so there was sort of like an evolution. Um, so I think that was a real joy, and being genuine friends with them outside, of Star Wars, but that's, and but also internally, the way that we sort of shoot it, I call it shooting.
Hmm.
Um, uh, it's like a radio play, right? And that really has been such a joy. Obviously, with the pandemic, it's been a little lonelier, out of my studio, but but I still text and email, the cast, and so we keep in touch that way. And so I really do miss that. But in general, I'm just impressed, especially with episode 14. I mean, this is a woman who has a species woman who has is being defiant, and has
Hmm.
sent out a bounty hunter, and she's really taking some steps against Lamassu, and I think that's quite bold. So I was pretty surprised at sort of her putting herself on the line that way, and I thought that was really cool. That you can still be, a strong, powerful woman, but still also be very protective and stand up for what is special to you. I think
Hmm.
that's what I love about the Star Wars universe. Um, is that characters are so nuanced. It's almost like doing a movie. I see no difference when I approach the Star Wars universe, whether it's, I'm doing live action or cartoon. It really is about the role. But if the writing is really, really high end, and the meticulousness of literally like how specific we get about how we play her, and interacting with the other characters, it's constantly making my mind sparkle. And it was a bit of a challenge, I won't lie. There was definitely a level of stress to make sure that I wasn't that I was still staying within the Kaminoan universe, and not turning into a Gungan or something like that I've played as well. Yeah, I mean, it takes a kind of a laser beam focus, I think, with Nala say, because she's so understated. So I think that just even we're talking a couple of degrees right or left, can say a lot. So I think it was really a team effort, and a beautiful challenge for me. Yeah, it was a real joy.
Well, you did really, really well.
Oh,
Because I will say that there's a couple of scenes there where I'm noticing she's showing compassion, but I almost had to think about it because of how, like you're saying, how structured she is, how she's very not definitely not a Gungan. We don't want to go there. Um, but
who
yeah,
is it having a bad name with the fans? I'm like, come
yeah.
on. Okay.
So my last question is how were you able to kind of defy those odds and record, and despite being maybe in your own studio, how were you able to get in that mindset and get into a galaxy far, far away?
Aw. A galaxy far, far away from my walk-in closet. Um, I think I just know this character so well, and I think that zooming in with the team, I just felt like they really had my back, in
Hmm.
every way. So be able to chat with them, and have them sort of be my buoys to make sure that that's where I needed to be. And look, I grew up, I didn't have the easiest childhood, and I grew up in a world where Jabba the Hutt and all of that. I don't know. I'm terrible at
Oh, not too bad.
but I think or Princess Leia. I think I think at a young age, it was pretty easy for me to jump into imagination. But I think there's a stoicism and a vulnerability about her that I can understand. I think
Hmm.
being a woman, being an Asian woman in the world, of sometimes having to be powerful and playing characters that way. And so I think I was able to slip in and out of her once I find pocket, and that has to do with beautiful writing and a great team around me when I'm doing it from my closet.
Phenomenal. Gwendolyn, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the chat. It's a real pleasure to be able to talk with somebody who actually worked on the project and has a lot of passion for the character they play.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for your time.
Take care.